Why did the Railway series work? This has been a question since when Season 8 came out. Everyone keeps on telling that Season 8 was bad, Season 16 was awful, and yes, I agree. But I don't see a video, where we say why the Railway series is so good. And to be frank, there are many reasons for it. Number one is the character interactions. We see all the engines interacting with each other, arguing with each other. That's the problem. Even in the Brenner era, we see the characters being a little too friendly. Now, I'm not criticizing it, because in modern television shows, you need to have the characters be a little friendly, otherwise they won't allow to broadcast it. But at least have them argue with each other, bicker with each other. In the Railway series, we see them bickering with each other. Not in a mean way like fighting or anything, but in a friendlier way. The problem with the new series and even season 13 to 16 and some episodes of the Brenner era is that they are all too friendly. And even when they argue, it's quickly resolved. I mean, yes, they do argue, but even if they're on the right side, they're scolded by fat hats. For example, the Percy Whistle episode I'm forgetting the name of. In that we see that Arian Bud never gets scolded. And another thing, talking of Arian Bud, they're always treated as harsh. We don't always see Diesel as a bad character. I mean, there are some episodes where they are good. And even in the book, Thomas and the Evil Diesel, we see in that book that Diesel has changed. He has improved. But in the show, it just shows him as a bad character who is just evil for the sake of it. Except for, Springtime for Diesel or Diesel Goes to School. But except those episodes, each character, if he's bad, is put into the bad category. And that's not good. Also in the Railway series, I know this has been told to death by a lot, but the number one thing is realism. Sodor is supposed to be a real railway. Of course, the island is fictional, but it's supposed to be real. They're supposed to feel real. While in the new series, when they talk, it doesn't feel like characters talking. It feels like scripted talking, which is not supposed to happen. The characters should feel like characters, not props. They should be interacting with each other while feeling their own. For example, in the Railway series, we see that Edward and Gordon argue with each other, and whenever we see Gordon, we recognize him as the pompous character who changed a lot of the time. For example, Enterprising Engines. However, if we go to the new series, what would happen if I say, Sydney, oh, he's a forgetful one. Diesel, oh, he's the devious one and the bad one. And the worst case of this is Nia. For example, what would happen if I say what's Nia's character? She's African. Yes, that's it. Now they're defining them by their race or from where they're from. And even look at Nia. She is so brightly painted that it explicitly wants to say that, oh look, she's from Africa. Now, I don't mind foreign characters coming to the show. I actually love the idea. Foreign characters, different characters, expressing their own emotions, but try to do it, in a much more better way. Look at Gator. Gator is from a different place, but is it shown that, oh look, he's from this country? No. Look at Hero. He's not painted red or white and being shown as that, look, he's from Japan. Yes, he's a Japanese design, but no, it doesn't show off like that. Same goes to Victor. He's so interesting, and yet we also don't see him always say that, oh, Cuban dad, Cuban this. But still, it's interesting. I'm not trying to be racist, I'm trying to be reasonable here. While if you look at Nia, there's nothing except that she's from a different country. Another point I want to add is how the characters were changed to being much more friendly. Look at Duck. He used to be hot-headed and confident, and now look at him. He's lost his cheekbones and he's much more less confident. Look at Donald and Douglas. They were very hot-headed, stubborn, and a lot of things. But they did want to be useful, and the stubbornness often helped them a lot. While if you look at them now, they just behave like another pair of Bill and Ben, but just nonsensically argumenting. Another point is that there are consequences, and through those consequences, the engine learns things. Take an example from the best season of the CGI series, season 20. We see that James learns the lesson in Pouty James, but what happens?
Later, lazy boiler!
But not for long.
The narrator just tells that he forgot everything. So what was the point of the episode? If this was like season 1 James, then okay, he will change, but it's taking him time. But no, here he doesn't change at all. And that's why I loved All in Vain, because it showed him change. If this was the old James, he would probably, just whine about it. Now, I'm not saying that the TV series is always better than the railway series. I mean, there are many good characters. I mean, if you look at Cranky or even Emily, they are very good characters, and without them the show would feel a little incomplete. But the fact is that with the railway series, the character interactions are, much better. Another point is the character development. We see that in the railway series, Deedle changed to Thomas and the Evil Deedle. We see that James changed. He doesn't whine about trucks anymore, and even Gordon changed. Now I don't know about the TV series, but it seems that they say that they stay the same forever and ever and ever. Gordon, he still hates trucks. James, he still hates trucks. And Thomas is still a cheeky bastard. Now, I'm not saying that those characteristics can't be applied properly, but what I'm saying is that they are applied all the time in a very generic way, if you get my point. Now, on to the next point which I have, and that is that it doesn't operate like a railway. When you look at the railway series, engines operate like real engines, And if you look at the TV series, it does not seem like a real railway. Why are there 3 cranes on one dockyard? Or how could there be a diesel with a claw who could attack anyone but does not attack his controller for some reason? Now, I know this is really like, oh, you don't have to be so realistic, and I agree. You don't have to be so realistic. But I have to extend this video because otherwise it will be very uninteresting, and I'm getting bored now and I'm running out of things to say. I'm running out of breath too. Anyways, now let's come on to the reason. Why? Why does this happen? Why is the TV series overly simplified, and why is it not as good as the railway series? Well, the main point is kids and time. Kids nowadays don't care about realism. I mean, if you show them anything with like bright colors and bright magic, then yeah, they'll take it for granted and be like, oh, it's a good show. But it's not the same for this Talking Train show. Thomas used to be a good show, and still was, but after season 22 it just went downhill and it seems that it'll be cancelled. And also time. Because the times were different back then. Nobody used to care a lot about children's shows, but now they only view it as a source of money, not as a source of entertainment or something that kids could actually enjoy. I mean, if you look at many shows, they have been turned into typical children's shows with bright colors and no story. Thomas tried to do different, but it wasn't able to, and it failed, and now it's about to end. People just think of children's shows and just think that bright colors and everything, but they don't want to focus on the story for some reason. The timing is also affecting this, as back in the 1960s or 70s, children's shows were not treated like that. They were actually good. While now, well, you can see many examples. And for that exact reason, the show is now probably ending and will never get any season 25 or something.